but it's high time to welcome our audience to today's webinar brought to you by the ABB Energy Industries team. My name is Barbara Levantini Aloi. I have the pleasure of introducing today's webinar together with Matthias Svensson, my colleague, who will be hosting the Q&A at the end of the session. So today you're joining us for a webinar on how to keep your production assets safe and available by upgrading your current UNITROL 1000 products that are entering the limited phase. So today main presenter are Filipa Marquez, the Global Sales Manager for UNITROL 1000, and Rudolf Möckli, Global Product Manager of UNITROL 1000. Welcome Filipa and welcome Rudolf. Thanks for being with us today. Let's have a quick look at the agenda. So Filipa and Rudolf will give us an overview of the UNITROL 1000 family. We will see what are the best retrofit options for the UNITROL 1007 and 1015 that are entering the limited phase. We will have a first look at the brand new UNITROL 1000 FLEXplus system, and then a few good reasons on why to keep your product, your system with ABB. So without further ado, let me pass it over to Filipa. Filipa, over to you.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Filipa, as Barbara mentioned. I'm responsible for UNITROL 1000 global sales. And first of all, I would like to welcome you all to this webinar. It's good to see so many people interested in the topic of this webinar. So we will start now with a small overview regarding UNITROL 1000 family. UNITROL 1000 is used together with synchronous machines in a range of 1 MVAs to 80 MVAs. The main applications are in the power generation and industrial, such as diesel gas gensets, steam and gas turbines, hydro. We also have application in marine business, from cruise ships to harbor cranes, and some application in the traction and in the synchronous motor businesses too. Can you please change the slide, please, Rudolf?
Yep.
In terms of numbers, there are around 30,000 devices installed all over the world. We estimated that about 80,000 of these units are still legacy devices, and this is why we are doing this webinar to alert our customers about the need of retrofitting these old devices. In terms of division, we estimate about 80% of land-based power plants, and 20% of these devices are in the marine and traction business. We have more than 500 engineers trained globally all over the world, but one of the main advantage of UNITROL is the very easy to commissioning tool. So you don't need to be certified by ABB in order to commission UNITROL 1000. Next slide, please. So here is the overview of our UNITROL 1000 family portfolio, the one that is in the active phase. We have UNITROL 1010 that allows excitation current up to 10 amps. Then we have UNITROL 1020 that allows excitation currents up to 20 amps. For small generator applications, we have UNITROL 1005 that is limited to the excitation current of 5 amps. Next slide. On this slide, we have an overview of our software packages. One of the main features of UNITROL is the easy upgrade of the devices. For instance, if you have installed UNITROL 1010 Lite on site, and the customer also needs to add auto synchronization, for instance, it's very easy to purchase an upgrade of the software for the basic version. And in as small period of time, it will be upgraded to this UNITROL 1010 basic. So these are all our main features and the difference between our different versions. And with this slide, I finalized the UNITROL 1000 family overview. I now pass to my colleague Rodolphe. He will now continue with how easy it is to retrofit UNITROL 1007 and UNITROL 1015 devices.
Many thanks, Philippa. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rodolphe. I'm the product manager in 1000 since more than 10 years, and I have the pleasure to present you today with how easy it is to upgrade these old devices. And by the way, especially the old device of 1007, I have developed myself, so you get some insights here as well. So before we're talking about let's say, upgrading and what are the details, we have to discuss a bit the different life cycle phases in ABB. We define here active cycle, a classic, limited and obsolete. And in active phase, we do normally add new features. We enhance the product quite heavily. Let's say like that. In the classic phase, it goes then more to a bug fixing, so that we keep the product alive in the market. There will be some small enhancements which are easy to do. And in active and classic phase, we are in the regular production phase. When it comes to the limited phase, then we stop actually the regular production and we put an amount of units in stock. And it's meant that this unit should take care on spare parts on installed base. But what we're not doing here in this limit phase, we will not do any updates of these products any longer to keep actual market requirement up to date. For example, especially in the older devices, we have a PSS functionality which does not meet today market requirement. Since I mentioned, we stopped the production here at the limited phase. That means we have certain devices in stock. That is still the case, but depending on the needs of the customer, we do not exactly can tell you when it goes to the obsolete phase and when we cannot any longer deliver these devices. So the time actually from limited to obsolete is just depending how many units we have in stock. Okay, here's a bit an overview of the products, what we're talking about. In the year 2019, we introduced the 1000-15. This was a product, a simple product for excitation systems for smaller machines. It was coming already that time with the very nice CMT 1000 tool. And it was then enhanced with the 1000-7 in 2016. This device I have developed at that time. And later in 2012, we came up with a replacement devices of 1010 and 1020. I think the link why we started before with the overview of the product is just to be aware these products are the actual products, are still in active phase, and still there are new features coming up on these devices. The 1005 was then added even a bit later in 2015 and is actually the newest one, but is the product which, let's say, protect us in the, let's say, to a very low cost competitors, let's say like that. So what you can do now in a simple way, the 1000-7 was an excitation system for 7 amps, so you can replace that by a 1010. And the 1000-15 was an excitation system for 15 amps, and you can replace that by the 1020. Let's say in terms of benefits, what we have here, or as an opportunity, as Philippa mentioned, we have 8,000 units of these older products inside the field. And this is now, of course, an opportunity to make a replacement with the new products. Here's a complete list which devices can be replaced by which one. It's also depending a bit, of course, on these software packages which is enabled. So the light pack, we have also in the Dash 7, we have a light, the basic and the full, but this is then replaced always by the light and by the basic products. So here you find a one-to-one table, which new product fits actually to the old product. So let's talk about excitation. What does an Unit 1000 do? Here on the left side, you see here a block diagram of the device. What it does actually, you have here a power input, the excitation supply. The excitation supply is rectified here in a capacitor. It goes here with an IGBT and a freewheeling diode, and this power stage just controls the excitation current to the exciter machine here. And this exciter current at the end does regulate the output voltage of the generator. This is the principal function of ADR. When we come now to the old products and the new products, then it's very interesting that all these principles here are exactly the same. So the 1010 and 1020 and also the older products are looking exactly the same. That means all these interfaces, what you see here, like output, like power input, are 100% backwards compatible. Then we have the RS485 and the CAN, also 100% backwards compatible. In the newer device, we switched from RS232 to Ethernet and USB ports. This is new because an RS232 interface is today even not available on a PC any longer. Then the control supply is also the same specifications, and as well the analog and digital IOs are the same. So that is a very good precondition that you can make a replacement very simple. There's then of course another, let's say, dimension. This is the software on the devices. And we started here with the software version 3, then we had the version 4, 5, and 6. The 6 is actually the version of the UNITROL 1020 today. And you can already imagine that it's quite, we did add a lot of functionality in the whole lifetime of these products, but the CMT 1000 was done in a way that it always could handle also old parameter files. That means if you have now a device in the field with version 3, you just take the CMT version 4 and you can read in the old parameter files. And with that, you can just update the parameter files to the latest one. If there is new functionality in the new software release, then there's a default setting which actually either disables this part or makes it in a way that the default setting will work fine. So that makes it quite, let's say, nice to update things. There is a very well documentation on that, how to do that. And on our ABB library, you can even download all the tools here. So this was now, here are the links to the ABB library. There's a specific application notes for the lifecycle note that gives the information which devices actually will replace which device. And there is a nice application notes with all details how to bring your application from these older devices to the new device. So now let's make a link to the FLEXplus system. Let's say when we go back and we talk just of devices, normally such a device is useless when there are not some components around it. So we have different levels of offerings in our department. One is that the customer can just, purchase the device as such and do everything by themselves, or they purchase pre-configured systems like you see on the left side, which are giving components which are needed in the excitation systems. That is, for example, configuration like single or dual channel. It comes up with the MCBs or the protection of the power cables here. It comes up with a field breaker, what you see here in that region. You would have then the galvanic isolated IOs. These are all the relais which are needed. So this makes then out of the product a full system which is working together with a generator. There's of course then also additional functionality you can do, like synchronization, like IO extension, but we come up to that later on. When you look at the FLEXplus plate, that is a system which we offer to the market, which is, let's say, pre-configured. It has certain functionality, but I would say it fits to 95% of all the applications without any change of let's say, wiring or a change of such components here. What you can select here is single or dual channel functionality. It is suitable for different supply modes. So we have shunt supply that is actually output of the generator is feed back over a transformer to the AVR. A PMG is a rotating permanent magnet generator on the generator, or auxiliary supply, that means it comes from a battery or from a fixed 400 volt supply, for example. So this is pretty flexible. It has typically two supply which are supported at the same time with an automatic switchover. Then we have a very interesting part is this AC500 on top of it. This is actually located here. You can do with this AC500 in a nice way an IO extension of the UNITROL 1010 and 1020. This is needed in many cases because, especially in retrofit projects, the customer might need more IOs than what is available on the UNITROL 1000. On the UNITROL 1000 product, we have 12 digital IOs. If the customer needs more, because we can select, we have a different functionality on these devices and can configure these IOs in a very wide range. And if you need more IOs, then this IO extension here is very helpful, let's say like that. So this is actually, the IOs on the device can be also freely configured. And you have then also option on the power system stabilizers. You have even options of earth fault relay, which is this device here. And the dimension for these two plates are the same. But in principle, what it means, we give you here a package with editable documentation that you can actually change the documentation in a very easy way to adapt it to a certain projects. And we give you the full source code of the AC500 programming, which is this device, which you can also, let's say, optimize, change the software and adapt the IOs as you wish. So here comes just the second slide a bit, how it looks like with this AC500. So that is actually the device. This device is connected over Ethernet switch to both devices, and it works in the way that here you have the digital IOs. An input actually, which is fed into the AC500, is then in parallel going to both devices. And the AC500 will distinguish which one of these channels are active and feed back an output signal to the output. That is how it works. And it's pretty simple, let's say, also to change or to adapt other signals to that one. With the AC500, we use here the Eco version actually. And the Eco version has a free of charge control builder version. So also on the programming side, on your side, you will not face any costs. There are certain projects which are ongoing on our side where we have questions to use this AC500 also as protocol converter to IC 61850 or IC 61870. This is possible and supported by this device, but then you would need to change that to a more expensive controller there. Then on the plate itself, it has this earth fault relay from ABB. This is an option, so since that device is quite expensive, but it will then supervise actually the excitation field of the machine. Not the field, but the starter winding of the exciter machine. And as I mentioned before, auxiliary supply, shunt supply, and CT boosting, these are options which you can have on the plate. Especially when you have the shunt supply, please remember you have to fulfill fault ride-through capability. That means in a shunt supply, your supply comes from the generator side. If you have a short circuit on a network, this supply will go to zero, and therefore you need a CT boosting to push up excitation voltage. So here's some feedback from the market. It was a company close to our location in Turkey, a smaller engineering company. They have not their own facility to, let's say, manufacture such a plate, but they have just an office, let's say like that. What they really liked on this whole plate, they have the full flexibility. They can adapt this plate to all the applications they have typically. They can just edit the drawings, adapt it to the projects and sell, let's say they sell from master plate, pre-configured, pre-tested. They adapt the drawings and sell that as an engineer project to the market. On the right side, you see here that this was the project, what they did, just a pump storage project, when I'm right, where they even used, let's say, changes of the parameters. But here, I think with this plate, you have all the flexibility what you need in terms to make a retrofit projects happen. And please remember, even when you replace a UNITROL -7 or -15, you might have a plate there already, which are already installed. Typically, this plate size will fit there as well, number one. Number two, you would need anyway to build up such a system. And it would be, in my opinion, much easier to use than the flex plate. Here are also the links where you can find the system description that is also open, available in the ABB library. What you would need in terms to download that, you have to register yourself in the My Station widget, but that is, I think, a smaller part. Then, as I said before, the software description of the AC500 is also described in the ABB library, also open to download, and also the full project files. That means if you really want to start with this FLEXplus plate, you can download that software, take it as a base, change the software as you wish according to your application, and have then a nice fitting product to, let's say, any case what you can imagine. So at the end, we have here a short summary. Why UNITROL 1000? I think first of all, at the moment there is a business opportunity that you can upgrade all the devices, like the -15, -7. In principle, what I would like to mention here, UNITROL 1000 products have operational lifetime of about 100,000 hours, about 10 years. They are not running all of them continuously, so maybe 10, 15 years. But after that, also UNITROL 1010, 1020 might be a case for an upgrade. And we started also the UNITROL 1010 and 1020. The sales was started in 2011. So even these products might be quite old already in the market and might be replaced. So there is definitely an opportunity. And let's say like that, we started the selling of UNITROL 1000 in the year 2000. At that time, it was maybe 100, 200 units per year. It went up quite rapidly to about 1,000. Today, we sell about 4,000 pieces per year. So installed base are growing. Also, of course, then the opportunity for service. What makes it really simple to upgrade these devices are the fully backwards compatibility. That means hardware plus software are fully backwards compatible. And that makes it really simple to do that. And this FLEXplus plate, what you see on the right side, this is really for me a standard which you can just take and apply more or less for all the applications what you find. It can be used for motor excitation, it can be used for generator excitation, and it would have all the features what you typically find on such a plate. And the last point, which is I think very important, we have quite, let's say, well-trained people around the globe. So we have locations all over the globe in China, India, Australia, Brazil, Canada, which are trained to these products, which can do commissioning, which can help on site. And furthermore, of course, let's say if you start, then we offer as well the 24/7 support line, which would help you in any case here if there are some problems. So that's, let's say, I think a very good base that you can extend your business with a service of Unit 1000 business. There is then a next webinar planned beginning of next year. The topic would be auto tuning. And here there's one point which is definitely interesting for me. Let's say Unit 1000 you can tune very simple with the CMT, and auto tuning I think is not really needed. But what auto tuning does here is one side does it fully automated and does also indication of the main parameters of the machine. And that is a very important link afterwards that you can build up a simulation model very easy. And this is one of the main challenges today. I think in more or less all the grid codes, you need to make a matching between measurement and simulations in terms that you can connect the device to the grid. And with the auto tuning, we are doing this bridge that this is easy for the customer. And that's why I think this is really a nice benefit of the product in the future. And I think it will have also a very nice success then. Okay, then I would like to, let's say, give back then the word to Barbara. And I hope we see you then also in the next webinar.
Thank you, Rudolf. It will actually be me, Matthias, who will handle the Q&A session. But it was really interesting to know more, and I hope the audience has thought the same. We have received some questions, and let's see if we can address them. But before we jump into that, you mentioned this next webinar. So how do they sign up for that, or when will it happen? Is that decided?
The software will be released end of Q1. So I guess in that range, we will do the next seminar.
Good. So that is good. One question from one of the participants is if an ECL-10 is installed in the existing system, can you still do the retrofit?
Yes, of course. In the flex plate, actually, the ECL-10 with the CT boosting is also present. The only thing what you have to take care, the ECL-10 has a setting from the voltage level from the CTs. That is defined by the bridges which you do on the top of this ECL-10. You have to take care that you set it up in the same way. But principle fully supported also with the flex plate.
Good. And maybe, I don't know if ECL-10 is an internal description, but what is it?
The ECL-10, that's a good point. The ECL-10 is actually a patent device from ABB machines. We took over these devices about 5 years back. And what it makes, is the device for CT boosting. So let's say if the generator, you have a shunt supply, that means your supply of the AV comes directly from the output of the generator. And when you have a short circuit in the net, then you lose this power supply. And in these terms, you have then installed CTs on the generator, which provide then the energy to the field. But the problem is that these CTs typically must be designed in the right way and it's, let's say, not everybody knows how to do that, and it's then very specific for the machine. And this ECL10 is a very simple approach. You can use just with an oversized CT, and then with the ECL10, you limit actually the voltage from the CTs. And with that, dimensioning of the CTs are not a topic any longer, and you can nicely adapt the short circuit current by bridging some different, having a bit different configuration on the ECL10.
Good. Thank you very much for that answer. And the next question is asking if the AC500 mentioned before, the AC500 extension, the PLC extension, is that an option? And if it is, can it be ordered together with the UNITROL, or do you need to order that separate?
Actually, for the UNITROL 1020 FLEXplus plate, this is not an option. It will be always there. So that comes more or less not free of charge, but it comes all the times with the flex plate. I mean, if someone doesn't want to use the flex plate, he can of course also download this description on the AC500 and do it by himself. That is pretty simple, because what you need to do is just to connect the Ethernet cables to the AVR.
Good. I think that answered the question. We also have another question targeting 1010 and 1020 devices. Can you buy the PSS function in addition, adding that to any models from light or basic?
Yes, definitely. I mean, maybe let's jump back shortly for the slides what Philippa showed at the beginning. So here you have these different software packages. You can do at any time an upgrade on the software packages. And you see here that for UNITROL 1010 and 1020, you have the option also for PSS, which can be purchased independently.
So it's independently you buy them. You can have light or basic and then just add PSS.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, mainly it comes from the fact typically PSS goes for bigger machines above 10 megawatts, and typically it's in the range of the 1020. But in some cases, people use it also for 5 megawatt machine or smaller machines, and they have the requirement that they need PSS. In this case, they can purchase PSS separately and add it to the 1010. On the 1005, this is not supported since there we have not enough, let's say, calculation power.
Good. I think I continue with the question around the 1000 and 1010. The question is it any convert tool to have a conversion of any UNITROL 1000 settings to the UNITROL 1020, even if it is manual or automatic?
Actually, it's a pretty simple way. Let's say you have an older device, release 5 device of UNITROL 1000-15. What you need to do, you have the parameter file. This is a text file, and you just open this text file with the latest CMT 1000. And then it will automatically read in the whole settings, and it will then transfer that to the new device. So there's no, let's say, conversion tool needed, because parameters namings as such are exactly the same and 100% backwards compatible.
So you just use the text file and then upload it into 1020.
And load it with the new commissioning tool.
Good. Okay. I think that's more or less all the questions. There are some people writing. No, it was not anything coming in. So I don't have any more questions. And I would just like to inform you, and if you want to have the registration form to the next webinar, Barbara pasted the link in the chat, so you can pre-register there and you will get notifications on when and where it will happen. Probably it will be online, but still be sure to register and we will keep you updated. So with that, I hand over to you, Barbara, if you have any last words.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you to our speakers and thank you to our participants. So you will be receiving in the coming days the recording of this presentation directly in your inbox to the email you have registered with, and you will also receive again the link to pre-register to the webinar. Whenever the date will be set, you will receive the invitation directly in your email. Feel free to forward it to anyone who may be interested. So with that, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much to our speakers and to my co-host, Matthias. So we look forward to hearing from you. Feel free to get in touch with us anytime, and our experts will be at your disposal to speak a bit more in detail about UNITROL 1000 and its future. Thank you very much to everybody. Have a good day.
All the best. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.